The Detroit Pistons still have one open spot on their roster for the upcoming season, and with $10 million remaining in cap space, who could they sign with this final spot? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more in just a moment.
Lane, skies a jam. Dynamite dunk and the crowd loves it.
Back to Pistons Intellect. I'm your host, Jack Kelly. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_Kelly_3on3. You can also follow us over on Instagram at Pistons_Intellect. And if you're feeling so kind, please hit that subscribe button. Please like the video. Please show support in any way you can. It's all very much appreciated. As I mentioned off the top, the Detroit Pistons have the most remaining cap space with $10 million in the NBA. That's following the Utah Jazz signing Larry Markelle to I think it was a max extension. Anyway, it was a whole lot of money. The Jazz originally did have more cap space, but following that deal, the Pistons are the only team with, I guess, looking at this positive cap space is the way I'll put it. The Pistons have $10 million left, and they have one roster spot left on the main roster, as well as a two-way spot open, I believe. Now, I'm just going to today talk about 5 players who I think the Pistons could potentially spend a portion of that money on. They've met the salary floor, so they don't need to spend the whole $10 million. But some of these guys are players I think could help the Pistons in terms of depth. I don't think any of these guys necessarily would be in the opening night rotation, nor would I really want to see them in there. But nonetheless, injuries happen, and I think these guys here could potentially help out the Pistons in the upcoming season in some form. So first player off the top here is Markelle Fultz. Now, when you look at the Pistons roster, apart from kind of rim protection, I would say, which they sort of addressed with Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart's not a bad rim protector, the glaring hole on this roster is point guards. Point guard playmaking at the guard position. And Cade Cunningham is going to be the team's starting point guard. He's going to play 34 to 36 minutes a night. In my rotation, Jaden Ivey starts, but you also, JB, mix and matches Cade's minutes with Ivey so that one of them is always on the floor. But that's because I just don't think Marcus Sasser is there as a point guard. That doesn't mean I don't think he's going to play minutes this season. He's not in my 10-man rotation, but nonetheless, I still don't want to see a whole lot of Marcus Sasser minutes at the point guard, and that's where Markelle Fultz comes in. Now, Fultz, as you can see last season, 7.8 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3 assists, 47% from the field, and then 22% from 3. Markelle, very kind of roller coaster ride of a career with injury, some injury bad luck, some really kind of weird stuff to happen at the start of his career with Philadelphia after going first overall, but he kind of righted the ship a little bit in Orlando. The jumper has honestly never really come around from outside. He's been able to develop a mid-range jumper and a pull-up, but at this stage of his career at 26, 27 years old, I think it's kind of safe to say that outside shot's probably never going to come at least a reliable enough rate that defenses are going to kind of honor that shot. But what Markelle can do is provide the Pistons with some playmaking, a ton of transition play. He's an excellent finisher, really creative around the rim, solid floaters. Like I said, has a mid-range pull-up. And to me, if the Pistons were to sign him for like anywhere from like a vet minimum to like $5 or $6 million, that might even be the vet minimum. I think having him kind of as your technically, he would be like your second point guard, pure point guard behind K. But in my kind of depth chart, he would be the third guard behind Cade and Ivey and kind of splitting minutes with Sasser. I think that'd be a pretty good get. Defensively, I'm not sure he's like kind of a lockdown defender, but he's a guy that's going to get you a steal every night. And like I said, just create points in transition. I could easily see him running the break with Asar Thompson, Ron Holland in that bench unit. If minutes came for Markelle. Touch wood, if the Pistons K'd out for a week or two and Jaden Ivey's banged up, then, I think Markelle kind of showed with the Magic, whilst it's not the most optimal option, like you can start him in spots and maybe that can get you through a little tough stretch with health. And I think his playmaking's kind of enough just to help you very so often. And if he was your backup point guard, I think you can do a lot worse. So that's kind of Markelle Fultz. I just want to note as well, every player I'm going through here is an unrestricted free agent and are yet to be re-signed or anything like that. So let me know your thoughts on Markelle Fultz. I've seen his name tossed around a ton in the community. Moving on, like I said, another point guard here, Dennis Smith Jr., who actually did play for the Pistons in that COVID season, the 2021 season before they got Cade Cunningham. He had a triple-double with the Pistons. I think it was around the trade deadline they picked him up. And after being out the league for like a year, he came back with the Hornets the season before last, and really kind of asserted himself as this defensive guard, defense-first guard, and really established himself as one of the better on-ball defenders at the guard position. As you can see here, 6'4". Maybe that's a little bit generous. I feel like he's more 6'2.5", 6'3", but either way, he's going to be playing the point guard. So good on-ball defender. He's really athletic, decent strength. And at this stage of his career, I think he's accepted his role. Just seeing some things he posts on Twitter, like he's very accepting in his role as a defense first guard, and he knows that's what's going to keep him in and around the league. And as you can see here, none of these stats are going to blow you off the page, but 6.6 points, 3.5 assists, 1.2 steals, 44% from the field, a shade under 30% from three. Like Fultz, hasn't really ever been able to develop that three-point shot. And like Fultz, if they had that three-point shot, I think their career is probably not a lot different, but I don't think they're at this stage of their career entering their prime unsigned a month and a half into free agency. I think their careers look a bit different, but that's why these players are available. And I think Dennis Smith, considering the lack of point guard play the Pistons have, as well as truthfully kind of the defense they have at the guard position, Malik Beasley, not really a defender. Tim Hardaway Jr., not really a defender. Jaden Ivey is definitely a work in progress. Cade Cunningham has potential, but we're kind of yet to see him put together a heavy kind of output defensively. Showed flashes in his rookie season, but last year defensively was disappointing. So to get a defense-first guard who could come in, not saying he's regular part of the rotation, but I think that could be, a nice little pickup for the Pistons. So another name to keep an eye on there. Would love to know your thoughts. The third player here is Marcus Morris. This would be kind of pivoting towards more of a veteran, old head type of pickup. Marcus Morris played with the Pistons on my favorite team, that 2015-16 team, and the 16-17 team, which was not my favorite at all. But he, at this stage of his career, as you can see here, like a lot of these guys, not giving you a whole heap in terms of box score numbers, but 6'8". He's pretty much, in my opinion, purely a 4 now. I don't think he has the Morris twins have never been the most athletic, but they've always had that strength. And they've always kind of been that prototypical modern 4. And look, shot 40% from 3 last year. He's kind of a bucket in the mid-range. Like I could see him, some injuries the Pistons have. Say Tobias Harris is out for a game, and Isaiah Stewart might be out for a game, and you just need someone at the 4 to come in. Maybe Bobby Clintman's not ready. I could just see Marcus Morris coming in and giving you a 20-point game. And I think he's still very much a guy that can make some tough shots in the mid-range. And the Pistons actually showed interest in him. There was some formal report maybe a week or two ago around there being some interest there for the Pistons to sign Marcus Morris. But look, this would be kind of a veteran move. You hope he come in, teach some of the young guys some things. Was on some winning teams with the Clippers, and then most recently was with Philly and Cleveland last year in the playoffs. So just kind of adding a veteran to kind of an old head who could come in, give you some maybe productive minutes and kind of help these young guys form some winning habits or something like that. So moving on, player number 4 is Cedi Osman. Not going to spend a whole heap on him, but in terms of dissecting his game, but a 6'7" wing that can shoot the 3 ball. Just a shade under 7 points, 2.5 boards, 2 assists with the Spurs last season. Defensively, not going to give you a whole heap, but I think it's just nice insurance to have on the wing position. Wing shoot, like as a shooter. Say, like I said, Fontecchio might be out. Fontecchio is currently rehabbing, I think, from some form of ankle surgery. So maybe that flares up. Obviously, I hope it doesn't. But I feel like Osman, similar like to in that Marcus Morris role, like whilst they're different players, like kind of that vet at the 3-4 position that if you have a couple of injuries can come in and stabilize the rotation, knock down some threes, and just keep that space and paint open for the likes of Cade, Ivy, and even Duran Assar to operate. Like Osman, you put him on the floor, teams got to account for him and stay on him in the corner. Because if you don't, like you can see there, he's pretty much a 40% shooter from three. So that's Osman. And then the last one here, this is kind of just purely a vibes check. Like some might think this is ridiculous, but Boban Marjanovic, I just thought, I saw this name. There was some other guys I could have pivoted to, but I just thought, as your 15th man on the roster, I know the Pistons already have 3 bigs, but this was kind of me just thinking Boban's a guy who's not going to care if he plays a minute all season. You're not getting him really for his on-court production, but I think in terms of vibes, team morale, chemistry, I think that's a guy. He was on the Rockets last season. I think those sort of guys can be important. Now, the first player that came to mind for him is like Rodney Magruder, except Magruder, when he was with the Pistons, was actually a pretty like decent contributor when called upon. Boban, I'm not sure at 35 years old how much he can kind of move anymore, but I just thought in the sense of leadership, team morale, maybe the team's down. He has a really good relationship with Tobias Harris for what that's worth. I just thought it'd be kind of just bringing in an older guy to keep the vibes high, keep the team on track if they're going through a bit of a rough patch. I think those guys do have a place in the league, especially on younger teams. So, and I would assume it's a vet minimum for Boban. You're not paying any more than that. So that was my 5th guy. The one player I just wanted to mention was Isaac Okoro. He's not on my list because I saw a report that he's a restricted free agent. I don't believe any offers were made, but I believe the Cavs are just going to sign the qualifying offer with him, which will make him, I believe, an unrestricted free agent next summer. So hence why I haven't mentioned him. He would definitely be on this list. Maybe not definitely, but he's a name I definitely would have brought up to discuss. But nonetheless, he isn't. And that's going to do it for today's show, guy. It's a pretty quick one. Not a whole heap to talk about right now in Pistons land. As for what the actual Pistons do with that 15th roster spot, who knows? I'm not sure if they actually have to have someone signed on there all the way up until training camp. But yeah, after looking at that cap space with around 10 million, maybe they are still looking to make a trade to acquire some assets that Trojans talked about. But let me know your thoughts. Will the Pistons sign someone with that 15th spot? Are they looking to trade? I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. And until Friday, as always, go Pistons.